So not too long ago, I moved into an apartment with a tiny patch of concrete in front of the house. And so this year I want to try and grow my own food as a beginner and take you on that journey from A to Z. A special package arrived. For a while I've been thinking of a plan, and this is going to help me do that. So I was thinking, why not build the planters for this little veggie garden with trash? How am I going to get those back to my house? There is a category on YouTube that I love watching, and that is of people growing their own food. And some that I watch have this big farm and they've been doing it for years. Others have an allotment, and others again have like a small garden or even a small balcony on which they can grow an impressive amount of food. But even though I've seen many of these videos now, I am very far removed from knowing what to do. So back in November, when I decided that I wanted to do this, I really had to start at the beginning. So the first thing that I did was open up a document on my computer and really write down all of the questions that I could think of in order to start gathering the right information to get started on this garden. And as time went on, that document of questions became longer and longer before it became shorter. But the good news is everything can be found on the internet or in books. However, the most frustrating thing about this so far is that there are way more questions than answers. And I've also found that there isn't really a right or a wrong way to do this. Most of the knowledge comes from getting started, trying things, and then correcting things which don't work. So the first thing that I did when I got started back in November was to figure out if I have the right conditions outside to grow my own food. Because of course plants need enough sunlight. And I know that that's the case because I've been living here for a while. And just like right now, you can see it's about 4 p.m. That seems like enough sunlight to me. So after that, I started going through the document one by one and trying to answer these questions that I have. Because before I got started, I didn't even know what the difference was between compost and soil. And it turns out soil is it's quite close to dirt, which has very little nutrients in it. Compost, which is made by breaking down food scraps, and that releases nutrients back into the soil. So since it would be a while before I was able to plant anything outside, I decided to get started on the composting project. Usually when I think of compost, I see these big compost piles that people have in their garden. But because I don't have a big garden, but I do have an apartment, I had to find a way to use my food scraps without having a big pile somewhere in the house. And that's when I found Bokashi composting. So both with Bokashi composting and traditional composting, you convert food waste or other organic matter into something that you could add to soil to add nutrients and improve soil texture. But what Bokashi does is, instead of decomposing the material, which happens in traditional composting, the food scraps in this case are fermented by bacteria. And that's what you saw me unbox in the intro of this video. Another thing that makes Bokashi composting different from traditional composting is that you can do it quicker because you can use this fermented food stuff and add it directly to the field or garden, let it rest for a while, and then you can plant seeds. Okay, so it's been about a week now of using these, and as you can see here, it has a little tap. This little container goes under the tap, and when you open it, it's supposed to let out all the juices of the fermentation process. I'm a bit worried because the past few days, I haven't had any liquid coming out of there. Let's see if it's any different now. Nothing happens. Nothing happens. Let me quickly explain what's happening here. I didn't really understand the Bokashi fermentation process before when I was recording this clip. What really happens is when you add the bacteria, the bran, to the food scraps, there's still lots of oxygen in the container. I think that's the problem. After, when the container is completely full, you then close the lid, let it rest for about 2 weeks. That is when all the anaerobic fermentation can happen. And what the bacteria does, it takes the liquid out of the food scraps, uses that to make lactic acid, and then the liquid is drawn out and released into the lower bin that you can drain with the tap. The reason why that wasn't happening here is because the bin wasn't completely full and it wasn't closed for 2 weeks on end. So here I have some food scraps, some banana and an egg this morning. I'm just adding that to it. So what I've been doing the past few weeks is just adding my food scraps, making sure it's nice and tamped down like that, and then adding a bit of Bokashi bran on top. And this kind of smells like a brewery almost, because the bran I think can come from a brewery, or it's the fermentation smell, I'm not sure. And then I can just leave this for 2 weeks to ferment before I put it in the soil, where it's gonna further break down in another 2 weeks. For the past 5 weeks I've been checking this to see if any liquid comes out, because you're supposed to drain it. It's not supposed to sit in liquid on the bottom. But nothing has been coming out, so I'm slightly concerned. Today I'm testing again to see if something comes out. Oh! Oh my god, can you see that? Liquid is coming out. Wow, that is surprising. Look. Wow. So if I didn't know any better, I would just throw this down the drain. And you can, because it has a use for that as well. But the point is, you're not supposed to throw this away. This can be used as fertilizer. Now you have to thin it out a lot. I think it's about 1 milliliter to a liter of water, something like that. So I'm going to use it to water my plants actually. So one of my plans for this year's veggie garden is to have a few planters on this little patch of concrete. So I was thinking, why not build the planters for this little veggie garden with trash? Because people throw away things which are perfectly usable, perfectly recyclable for new projects. And I have a few things around the house which I've sourced that way. So what I'm gonna do today, even though the weather could be better for this, is I'm gonna cycle around and see if I can find some wood, if I can find maybe some planters or some flower pots. And what I'm hoping for to find today is a window, like a piece of glass in a frame. I know there is a neighborhood around here where they were kind of doing construction on a house, so I'm gonna see if we can find something there. I mean, it has wood, but I don't think that's what I need. Wat vragen? Gaan jullie dit weggooien? Ik vind het goed als ik er een paar kom halen. Ik probeer wat plantenbakken te maken. Okay, I just found people with one of the 3 containers outside, and they have massive planks of wood because they're redoing their backyard, their patio. So now I just gonna have to think, how am I gonna get Oh my god, there's enough wood there for basically the planters. That would be sick, bro. Good morning. It's a new day. Today's a much better day to be trying this. It is raining, but we can handle this. We can handle this. So now that I'd find all the wood needed to make basically all of the planters, I could get started on the design. But I didn't stop looking for materials. So here's some of the things that I found in the next few weeks. Found some wood for the trellises. For the trellis. I am on my morning commute, and look what I found. Wood. I just found this window in this container. Okay, the first seeds are in. Look at these cute, tiny seedlings. No! Oh my god, this is really heavy. Someone is digging up the Bokashi stuff. I strongly suspect that it's a rat doing that.